Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we will talk about faith, hope, and love. The holy trinity of Cajun cooking is onion, carrot, and celery. These three ingredients are common for Creole recipes. I guarantee you, if you open up any Cajun cookbook, you will find this holy trinity. Well, when you read Paul's letters, we find a different trinity that he says is the given recipe for Christians for all time. But what are the three ingredients of the Trinity? Let's turn to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 7 for the answer. Paul writes, "For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation." Paul is continuing with his metaphors to describe the differences between the Christian and the non-believer. Christians are the children of light. They are the children of day. And Paul says how we are children of the day with some very unique battle gear. In verse 7, Paul again is contrasting the life of the believer and the non-believer. Those who are asleep in the darkness, they are not alert. They are not ready for the return of Christ. They're unaware of his return and are not prepared to meet their judge. But likewise, those who are not saved are like the drunks. They're out of control. They're sloppy in their speech and walk. They are a hazard to themselves and others. Christians are to be sober-minded, sober in speech, and sober in their actions. Quite the contrast between these two groups. Then in verse 8, Paul says, "But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation." Again, because we belong to the day, we are children of light. And then Paul says, having put. Now notice, we don't have to put on this breastplate and helmet. They are already securely fashioned on every believer. This reminds me first of what Paul said in Ephesians 1. We have every spiritual blessing at our disposal. We don't need to ask God for more hope, faith, or love. We have them. It also reminds me of the various metaphors to our battle armor. Paul writes about our battle armor in Romans 13, Ephesians 6, and 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 7. In Isaiah says, "He put on a righteousness as a breastplate, and a helmet of salvation on his head. He put on garments of vengeance for clothing, and wrapped himself in zeal as a cloak." We have on a breastplate of faith and love. We have on our head a helmet. It's the hope of our salvation. You see, that's the Trinity: faith, love, and hope. Faith is the assurance of our salvation, completely in the hands and by the hands of God. Nothing we can do to keep it or buy it. It's all done by God. Love is the supernatural ability to love people as God loves people. Remember, we don't earn God's love. We live from it. So we can love our neighbors and our enemies. We can love people freely from the overflowing love of God. Hope is the focus on eternity with Christ and not on our situation or ourselves. We can face any challenge with confidence because of what God has accomplished and promised. We are people of the Trinity of Paul: faith, love, and hope. These are gifts of God and evidence of our salvation. Remember, we don't need to put these on. They are on us already. We simply need to use them. When we live and use faith, love, and hope, you know it, friend, we will win the day.